Oh, this episode was brought to you as ever by the support of our lovely backers over at patreon.com/cinemaswirl. And I feel a little bit under the weather. I'll tell you why, because as well as Oscars fever, we're reviewing a Best Picture winner this episode, I've also got Golden Raspberries fever. Yes, we're reviewing a Worst Picture winner from the Razzies over on CinemaSwirl. In fact, right now, if you join over at patreon.com/cinemaswirl, you can hear me and Kevin review The Love Guru, Mike Myers' film, and we had a very interesting time talking about that. If you want to hear that, and indeed the 37 other bad films that we've discussed over on CinemaSwirl, head on over to patreon.com/cinemaswirl to find out more about how you can sign up at that $5 level to get access to all those episodes. Right, let's get swirling.
Cinema Swirl! Oh, you want a glass of this wine tea? It's episode number 90! Coming to you from the Pork Store of Hollywood, California, by way of Newark, New Jersey, that is. It's me, your old pal, Cowboy Kevin, saddling up as I am always with my OTP Siglieri, Sam Chaplin. And I am just realizing this moment, I really wish we had a mob movie going here, because it does feel like somewhat wasted breath, what I've just done there. Elaborate wasted breath.
Hello, everyone. A little peek behind the special curtain. Kevin was so proud of that rhyme that he muted the call to announce it to Joe the intern.
Yeah, I actually had to broadcast it using the digital assistant.
Oh,
because she was upstairs.
Right. Okay,
she was upstairs.
When you said broadcast, I thought you just meant shout.
Hey!
You employed your digital assistant to then broadcast it.
My crafty digital helper helped me throw my voice into an entirely different room.
Did Joe know that was coming? Did you?
No, she's upstairs. She's having a little rest at the moment, in the afternoon, and oh, just so you know.
Well, it was worth the wait.
I will say, she's not broadcast back yet, which, I mean, I'm actually starting to worry now that this wasn't quite the slam dunk Bobby Dazzler that I had viewed it to be. But Sam, look, we've got some serious business on hands here, because
yes.
For the first time ever, you're joining us live on Cinema Swirl. We're here at the headquarters in the counting zone, and we both have big anorak jackets on and large microphones with covers on them, because Sam, this one's come down to the wire.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I'm here from my local polling station in Nottingham, which was a library, and we're counting the votes here.
Would you be up for some live on-air banter for, on location chat like this?
Sure, yeah.
And I would say, Sam, you're looking well. Look, you've had your breakfast this morning, and how is everything over on your end? And he looks like he's had his Weetabix or any cereal, really. Any cereal.
Kevin, I am a fan of cereal. So we'll get on with the vote counting here.
Now, if it has been believed, because I believe I brought this up that it's been brought up on a previous podcast that we are being courted constantly with several follow-up emails from a startup company that is trying to automate our podcast. And I have it on good authority that even though we've signed no agreement, that they have an ability now, because we don't know what this episode's going to be yet. That's how close this vote is. It's the closest vote in Cinema Swirl history.
Yes.
And the tension here between Sam and I is very, very, very palpable. And we normally close this vote off with an hour to go. And I said, Sam, you got to run up right to the wire. Let's fill the room with tension. And now, ye at home, you shouldn't know what this episode is. This should be kind of like episode 90 ... question mark. And I was hoping they'd automate it in a way that it would reveal the episode as we find out. And if that's not been done, you've not got the deal, guys. That's all I'm saying. See you later. Bye. You're dead to me.
We've not got our money's worth from this company that, well, I don't know if I should say this, but claims to pay people less than minimum wage as a feature benefit that would benefit us. I don't like that.
That's one of the top tier attributes of this. Not quite as good as the people who contacted Cinema Swirl and they're like, are you tired of your voices being silenced by Patreon and SoundCloud? Why don't you hook up with this fucking anything goes platform? And we didn't, because as wild as Sam's opinions are on movies, they don't yet approach having a hateful quality.
Not yet. Not yet.
But I'm excited, Sam. I had a little time off for my birthday, and I'm coming back now for probably what is a surefire good day at the office here at Cinema Swirl.
Well, so this vote was an Oscars special, as you'll be aware if you're listening to this upon release. We're in the midst of Oscar fever.
The smell of Oscar is in the air.
It's Oscar season, so we're picking between 3 Best Picture winners from the 2000s.
So basically, these are all movies that should have been filling the public sphere with chatter and scuttlebutt, while Sam was very busy not watching any movies
engaging with
while
that
he
at all.
was growing up. So the options are, I believe, we have Gladiator, we have The Departed, and we have No Country for Old Men. So these are 3 movies, all of which, I'll tell you right now, Sam, are fucking brilliant as far as I'm concerned. And I wonder if you think that might be why we've come down to the wire on this special live experimental cinema swirl.
I think so. I think there is a quality, I was going to say quality threshold. I'm not sure what I mean by that, but I mean that these films are of good quality, I think, from what I've understood hearing about them. All of these films I've heard are fucking incredible and brilliant. I've heard that before. So I imagine there's not much between them, you know? And we've found that that's the case.
You were telling me when we were getting ready that it was, what was number 3 was now in the lead after number 1 and 2 were battling out vote for vote all afternoon. This is absolutely unprecedented.
It's been very complicated. I think everything has had a fair shot, but it was sort of neck and neck for a long while.
And Sam, obviously you're down there at the vote centre at facebook.com/cinema swirl. Tensions running high. Word on the ground, tough and or tight at the top. The comment section, how's it looking? Are they behaving themselves?
Yeah, just all being nice. Just people saying it's tough. They're all good.
I mean, it's very much like when you go to vote in an actual election. So you come out and you go, look, they're all so great.
They're all good.
They're all so good. All these really tantalizing visions for the future. Damn you, each of you offering me the vision of a city on a hill, a different city on a different hill.
Is it time, Kevin, for us to take a look inside the big sack of votes and see whether we've got a clear victor here?
We have, Sam, but just before that, it's, as is tradition on these points, it is the exit poll that's coming over here live from Podcrabs HQ, where I reckon that Gladiator has won it. So the official exit poll is, I reckon that is Gladiator. I reckon.
If I could just interrupt you there, Kevin, the results have come in. If you could just shut up for a second, please.
If you could let me finish, Sam, though, because this is, if you don't mind going to the vote now, thank you very much. Yes.
Right, well, I was. So let's take the vote here. The results are in with a lead of 1 vote.
Are you kidding me?
But 1 vote. Our winner is Gladiator, as predicted by the exit poll. Yeah, we're doing Gladiator.
I promise you, I wasn't broadcasting to anyone telling them to stick in a vote, so it looked like that I knew my political science. But once again, not once again, Kevin has been proven right. Yeah. And the exit poll turned out was pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So looks like my 6-month subscription to the private eye that I let lapse wasn't in vain after all.
And hopefully, if our automation of this podcast has gone successfully, none of that dramatic tension will be lost on you, because you won't know what the film was until this point in the episode, where the title of the film dynamically changes to what we've revealed it to be.
And if this was actually like a live broadcast instead, actually, you'd think this would have been a really great moment. And you might be thinking right now, it being recorded is a bit of a subpar moment.
Yep.
But you just think of all the subpar moments you would have gotten if this was live beforehand, the other 89 episodes. Imagine that shite. Imagine doing Blue Velvet live. No cuts, no takes. Tell me what you think of this movie. No conferring.
The Gladiator. Yeah.
Russell Crowe, who recently joined us on Cinema Swirl over on patreon.com/Cinema Swirl for the Dark Universe Spectacular, where we reviewed That Mummy.
Yep.
And he's back here again, Inspector Javert. First and foremost, Sam, it's Gladiator. What are your thoughts? And live reactions, Sam, on the ground there. The people in the Gladiator camp have to be happy, but Scorsese denied once again on Cinema Swirl.
Look, we'll get some Scorsese coming in at some point, I'm sure. In fact, Kevin, I'm going to say something controversial now.
Oh, excuse me?
I reckon that because of the slight vote margin here, it might be the case that we do go on and record a Departed episode, The Departed episode.
The Departed episode coming to you soon.
Yes.
And I am glad, Sam, that has been confirmed now, because when Sam and I did our Razzies Oscar special idea at the start of the month, we thought that the Oscars was on earlier than the 27th of March.
Yes. Yes.
So Oscar season may have continued, baby.
It's the season. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to watch another good movie, because when you see what the fuck we had to do for Patreon this month, you're not going to begrudge me doing another nice movie, all right? I've earned it now, so I have. Gladiator, then. What impact did this make on you growing up? Did you hear about this? How did you not see this in school? This was like substitute teachers' curriculum for 2000 to 2009.
Look, I'm trying to think about what I know about this. I know Ralphie in The Sopranos loves it, and he was swinging around chains and stuff.
Oh, you know what? That actually ended up being pretty good there.
Yeah.
The old rhyme at the start, actually.
Yeah. It all ties in.
All ties in. What do you know about Gladiator and Russell Crowe other than he was a hooah?
This is some real old shit in terms of the setting. This is back in, like, ancient Rome.
Stop trying to make us seem younger than me. Like, remember 2000? It's so old, man.
Well, 22 years ago.
22 years ago?
22 years ago. Back in ancient Rome, there was a gladiator.
Yeah.
Played by Russell Crowe.
The man himself.
Who did that thing in the Colosseum where you fight and they do the thumbs up or the thumbs down. But, you know...
Well, Robot Wars.
And Craig Charles is commentating.
Craig Charles is there, like, you know. Gladiator, reveal your face!
There's a thumbs up and a thumbs down system that in a kind of, you know, QIL type situation, I think in real life, the thumbs down was good and meant that you would survive, and the thumbs up meant that you would... Yes. The thumbs up was like, yes, kill him. Yes. I confirmed that he should be killed, rather than, yes, he's all right, let him go.
Okay, that's really flipped my understanding of the thumb on its head.
It's literally flipped upside down. I know he's in those Colosseum battles. Yeah. He is a gladiator. I think his wife and child were killed.
Why do you reckon that? Or is that just kind of what happened to people's wives and children back in Roman times?
No, I sort of recall a quote being quoted at me, but I don't know if it's worth me trying to...
Go on! Hey!
Right.
Go on. Give it to me.
Maximus Aurelius,
Hi.
husband of dead wife, father of dead child, am here with my sword to have a right bloody go and have a great day out. Thank you. Something like that.
Gladiator. Nice.
Yeah. He's going on ITV's Gladiators with the big cotton buds, you know.
Here's a question. Are you expecting this to be action, drama? Is this dark? Is it light and frothy? What type of a movie are we getting here? Because I'm not sure if something winning a Best Picture Oscar or being laden with Oscar fancifulness, if that means anything. Because I know there's a lot of folks who I know who like would say that if something wins a best, you know, if something is lavished with praise by the Academy, it usually means it's a certain type of movie or whatever it is.
Yes.
Oscar prefers certain genres or
the
tropes
term
or
Oscar bait comes to mind, you know. You're kind of art housey drama, not a genre film. But I'm getting a little bit of epic anxiety. I might be predicting an epic.
I mean, I've not looked at the runtime, but it probably will be a bit of a long
bit of a long un, sure. I know that Lord of the Rings, one of the Lord of the Rings is won Best Picture a few years after this.
What could any of us really glean from that in terms of what it means for this movie?
I'm nervous that it might be...
Oh, like a big, long, boring, epic movie.
Yeah, I'm worried I might not get on with it. But everyone loves Gladiator, don't they? They all love Gladiator.
Yeah, pretty much. It's universally beloved.
Yeah.
You know.
Very popular.
If you're going to honestly put a gun to my head, it's probably my least favourite of the three that have went up here today. Yeah. Not that it's saying much.
But that's not a bad thing, necessarily. They're all
not
good.
Necessarily a bad thing. Well, look, we've got a movie that Sam does not know a quote from particularly well.
Well, I got some of it.
You got some of it, you know. Yeah, exactly. Any other names in this that you're expecting? If it's a big Hollywood blockbuster of note, I'm assuming we're going to get some stars lining up.
I'm trying to think of who directed it. I wonder if this... look, I've got Ridley Scott in my head, but I don't know if... No. It's a big director, I think. In terms of cast, I know Russell Crowe. I'm struggling to think of anyone else who's in this. Who I can picture him on the DVD cover.
Yeah, because you've probably seen that DVD cover in a lot of DVD collections.
All over the shop, yeah. Literally all over the DVD shop. He's got the gear on. He's probably holding a sword down or up or something. I can picture him. I can picture his haircut, but I can't... Oh.
So, Russell Crowe's a gladiator.
Yeah.
Got some dead family, and he's going to go on an adventure involving Colosseum fights.
There's some vengeance, I assume. Yeah.
So you think, much like Ghost Rider, he will have the spirit of vengeance? This is potentially it.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope Nick Cage is in this as well.
Well, I'm very excited for us to see this movie. But I think before we do, let's wet our whistles and our appetites with the whetstone of the mailbag.
I, Sam Chaplin, reader of mail, do open the...
I'm into a list of dead people now, and I was like, no.
Do open this, thy mailbag overfloweth with messages.
What are you doing there, Sam? What are you up to over there? What's going on? What's that voice? Are you doing like old English or something?
I'm trying to stand in the Colosseum and like give my big speech.
Yeah, but what's this thine business? I'm in the Colosseum over here. Oh.
Welcome to the mailbag.
You're in the mailbag.
Me, Sam Chaplin, going to read some bloody mail, mate. Thank you for all your messages, questions, queries, comments, other stuff into cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. Send your letter today.
Yes, please. Now, I'm going to keep this mailbag reasonably brief.
Because we've got a large brief ahead of us.
I'm worried we've got an epic on our hands. So our message comes in. We've got one message. Our message comes in from Mike, who writes the following. Dear Kevin and Sam, last weekend I went to watch the surprisingly entertaining Studio 666 film by Foo Fighters, which sees the band playing themselves in a fictional horror scenario in which Dave Grohl gets possessed and goes on a killing spree of his fellow bandmates. This got me thinking, if you could have any band, past or present, play themselves in a fictional movie, who would it be and what scenario would you put them in? Peace and love, Mike.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we get a lot of band questions. Not band
questions.
Not band questions
Band
where we have to
questions.
go on a Patreon alternative where we can use our
Some
free
of these
speech.
nasty questions that you be sending us now. Goodness gracious.
Now, I've not got a perfect answer for this, but I've got a little factlet for you.
Oh, see, the problem with this is that, like, most musicians, as evidenced by Studio 666, suck like a fucking suck... They suck like a fuck at acting. They're bad at it. They are.
Yeah.
They're genuinely awful at it. And like I do remember, like, I've struggled a lot of the times with like my dad sticking on Beatle movies.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that, particularly where he was showing me like Hard Day's Night, and he'd be like, that man on the train with them was actually a paedophile. And they're like, no, don't tell me that. Secrets of the 60s. But
that was like Cinema Swirl back in the day. Your dad telling you, hey, watch this thing that you enjoyed. That man's a paedophile.
That's a paedophile. But I mean, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think Bob Dylan played himself in like some, or played like, you know, did a movie with himself. And I'm pretty sure the only time I enjoyed the Beatles doing anything with themselves is when it was Yellow Submarine, where I later found out that they didn't actually do the voices themselves. Just some other lads did voices for them. They actually had very little involvement with that piece of media. So I'm struggling. I mean, maybe like because he genuinely is a great character actor, and I always laugh and clap my hands when he shows up and he does a good bit. And I love him as a musician as well. Probably Tom Waits, maybe.
Yeah.
But that being said, the idea of like that version of Tom Waits trying to play that younger Tom Waits, that would probably be ghastly. So what you're proposing there, Mike, is that I somehow trap multiple versions of Tom Waits in some sort of Spider-Man No Way Home scenario. And I'm not having it, quite frankly, because they'd be like wailing cats down there going, all the different genres clashing, all the different new iterations not going along with the old ones. It'd be awful.
I think, Kevin, you've hit on something interesting here, because Mike suggested we can put these musicians in other scenario, but they're playing themselves. Play themselves in a fictional movie. Okay. All right.
Oh, because, is your factolus no longer valid?
No, my factlet is valid. But the other thing that you've hit on is I was thinking it'd be interesting to have, right? You know how Heath Ledger based a lot of his Joker on Tom Waits' kind of speech patterns? You know?
Yeah.
Have Tom Waits be Old Man Joker.
That's not the same thing I was asking. This guy comes here, cap in hand, admitting he's seen the Foo Fighters movie, and honestly, bravely saying that he thought it was great. You know, fair fucks to you, Mike. Coming here now, you know, give it both barrels.
He said he said surprisingly entertaining. He didn't necessarily say good.
You give him old Joker. And you honestly, you spoiled my answer in hindsight as well with that, because now it's like, hey, try to check out the new release from Old Joker.
But he'd be perfect as the old Joker, because he's already got that stuff built in. He's already got that stuff.
Jared Leo's from a band though, isn't he?
Oh,
isn't he? So,
you know what? He is.
Maybe.
And he's never played himself.
He's never played himself. I was going to say, Mike, we've got the makings of a grand movie here, haven't we?
Oh, you know what? Jared Leto, he transforms himself. He does different things for all his roles. And yet, the one person who he won't transform himself into is Jared Leto himself. A role that not even Jared Leto can handle.
Yeah, Jared, there's no special prosthetic suit you can slip into for that. There's no over-the-top accent you can do to hide behind. It'd be fucking front and centre, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Now, my little factlet, which I shall get out now.
Oh, please.
Are you familiar with the band Supergrass?
Yes.
We are young. So, Steven Spielberg saw the music video for All Right by Supergrass and approached the band and proposed that they work together on a TV series in the style of the Monkees.
Really?
Yeah. He saw that video and was inspired and wanted to scoop them up and make a full TV series.
You say that now, they do have the scampish energy of the Monkees, don't they?
Yes, they do. And they were very young.
They were.
When that came out, they were still teens. Yeah. But they turned him down and preferred to work on their second album. But I love the alternate universe where that came out and Supergrass became a kind of TV fictionalized version of themselves, directed by fucking Spielberg.
Yeah, but look, they made the right call because Supergrass are on top of the world, and like, where's Spielberg now? Nowhere. Not on the Oscar docket, is he? No.
Supergrass this year will be playing the Splendour Festival in Nottingham, which is a festival where you can see bands that were big 10 to 20 years ago.
Oh, is it because it's Splendor? Because it's like sugar and it's like they're famous. Is that it? Like, that's horrible. That was a roller coaster because I said that bit and then I'm like, oh Jesus, I hope they're all right, the lads.
They're doing all right. They're fine. They're fine.
Better than you, Spielberg. Why don't you find some other youngsters to poach?
So there we go. That's my little factlet. Mike, I'm sorry that none of my answers were relevant to your question at all.
And thank you, Sam, for the restraint of not being like, what if Weezer went on an adventure with Blur? And they got lost.
Well, if you want that, you can go to my Tumblr account and you can read those film pictures. They are several pages long. So thank you very much for your questions into the mailbag to cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. Send your letter today.
Oh, got Gladiator coming up.
Got Gladiator. Well, I mean, before either of us die of Oscar fever, we better go watch this bad boy. I'm expecting that you're going to love it.
Really?
I'm calling my shot. I think so. I think it is so broadly acceptable as a movie, and that nature of it alone, coupled with its reputation, will probably make you go, yeah, it's all right, isn't it? Because I will say, it's certainly more than any Cinema Swirl entry in a long time has gotten a lot of buffs from it being on the Oscar Best Picture special, for the very tough and tight, top of the tight, tough voting. So I think with all those things going with it, and its already existing reputation, I think those are all going to work together. Even if you only think it's very good, I'll think you'll love it.
Do you think I might quote Supergrass and say that it's all right? Or
maybe?
You don't think I'll dislike it?
No.
But it's whether I like it or think it's brilliant.
We've done enough Russell Crowe now to know whether or not he grinds your gears or anything. It doesn't seem like he does. So
I enjoy
you'll like it.
Yeah.
You know, and if anything, it'll help you to understand the mindset of one Ralph Ciparetto, and I'm sure you'll appreciate that as well. So,
well, it's extra background reading for my next rewatch of The Sopranos. Right,
let's do it. Let's go do a cinema swirl. We're back. Sam, initial gut reactions to... is it Gladiator or The Gladiator? No, it's Gladiator. To Gladiator.
My name is Pepsi Maximus Sammius Chaplonius, commander of the Protestants of the East Midlands.
He admitted it!
Watcher of Zero Films and loyal servant to the true emperor, Mark Commode. Drinker
oh my God
of a decaffeinated drink, eater of a frozen pizza. And I enjoyed this movie in this episode and probably in the next.
In the next episode, you'll just be thinking about this. Is that it? You know what? I was thinking halfway through this movie, I wonder if I should do a little I'm X, Y, and Z. And I thought, well, Sam's already had a go at it earlier, so it's only polite to give him the floor to correct. I am father of dead child.
That's the best I could do on the bus on the way back from work.
I appreciate it. It's good. It's good. It was very candid, very revealing, Sam, is what I thought it was.
Pepsi Maximus. Pepsi Maximus.
Oh, I get it
Maximus. Now. Yeah.
Caffeine free, like.
Yes.
Yes.
Drinker of a decaffeinated drink. Eater of a frozen pizza.
Like a doctor, his surname was Pepper, like Dr. Pepper, right? Yeah. Or you could have like a lad called Lilt. You could do that as well. Yeah. And, you know, I'm sure you could have a cheeky little dog called Tab for the Americans.
I enjoyed the film. That's
good to hear. Let's get this out of the way first. At a hearty, let's just say 235 pounds, but nearly 2 hours, 35 minutes.
Ooh, yeah.
How did you get on with the length? It was longer. It was as epic and in scale as predicted in the pre-swirl.
Big fella, this film.
Big chap.
But I didn't mind it, you know? I didn't feel it suffered from its length. I think it needed that time and used its time well and didn't drag its feet and told a good story in its time, and I respected that. I didn't need any breaks in this. I just went straight through. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, I think it's always worth pointing out the time, because I know that 9 times out of 10 will complain about the time, but this was one of the times where it took its time, as you said, and I think it's high time now that we may... It's fucking so cold, and there's an ice cream truck outside.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what time he was around last night?
No.
9 o'clock at night.
Who's getting an ice cream at 9?
My theory is that there's been a couple of ice cream men around the way who are like, I'm telling you, it's the children are going to have had their dinner. They want something sweet. It's 9 o'clock. There's nothing in the pantry. The other theory is that they're doing drugs from this ice cream van because Grand Theft Auto looms large in all our minds these days.
Stop moaning, mate, and get us a 99, will you? Yeah?
All right. I was in the middle of saying something as well. I was in the middle of one of my trademark overuse of a word streams of consciousness, and now I have to talk about Salford-based ice cream delivery times.
Bit of strawberry sauce, please, mate. And a flake. Get that in there.
Very British behaviour is all this was. Of saying, oh, you love a 99, don't you? Yeah,
Love
yeah.
a
I figured.
99.
Yeah, I do. Well, look here, Gladiator, more like Sepiator, because the start of this movie was with a heavy filter that reminded me of an old movie that had been dipped in tea to make it appear like an old parchment, you know?
Yes, immediately you recognise, it's old time, because the Universal logo is all sepia.
I can't remember if I'm making this up, that it was normal and then it turned to sepia.
I think you might be making that
we're going back in time a little bit, like...
Come with us now on a journey to the past.
Now, we're talking about one thing here today, and that's the Roman Empire.
Yes.
And with all due respect, see, that's a real empire over there, let me tell you. Wow!
The size of that massive empire. Fucking
I know,
huge,
right?
mate. Massive.
Who's ever complaining about being persecuted by the Romans, other than the Christians? But honestly, yeah, I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah.
I think that maybe if there's anyone out there who wants a bit of the old empire, but you're worried about the fascist tendencies of the actual Imperial Empire in Star Wars, it's a bit, isn't it? Like, and also Britain, like, come on now, shh, you know?
What?
Yeah.
He told us to try harder next time.
I'm just saying, Rome obviously did the equivalent of leaving on a high point. Like they said, the best, the funniest line in the meeting, and then they went out the door. They obviously ended with a bang of some repute, because it just feels like if someone says, "Oh, John over there, he's got, he likes reading his books. He's a bit into history. He's quite into the Roman Empire at the moment." That indicates possibly an inquisitive mind and possibly someone who is interested in cultures gone past. John over there, though, he's been a bit on his own recently, reading up about the British Empire.
Nah.
What's going on with John? Do we have to contact Prevent?
I was going to say there's not many films about, British Empire, but there probably are loads. There's probably loads of those. There's loads.
But you have to admit now, even when I say it, it happens all the time. But even when you say it, and you at home when you hear us saying it, when the word British Empire is said, the word downfall just kind of like tumbles into view in the mind's eye, doesn't it? The downfall of the British Empire. You know what I mean?
You've got this very weird way of stirring up this kind of misplaced British pride in me by out of spite. Well, no, actually, it was a terrible empire and a bad idea, but I still, I feel a bit defensive about it.
Look, I won't begrudge you Robin Hood. That was a decent part of the empire. But other than that hero character, a lot to be desired, the British Empire, in my experience.
Robin Hood, best of British, best of Nottingham. That's what I'm about. But that's not what this is about. One last stronghold left before a big old Roman victory. Okay, that's where we are at the start of this film.
So tell me, were you as a boy, I know you didn't play many video games as well as watching any movies.
It's a whole other podcast that could be happening.
I just feel like, for me, I had like a year in school where I learned a bit about Romans, and then there was a few horrible histories knocking around in the school library. And then after that, it was pretty much medieval and Roman Total War and Age of Empires to guide my hand through all of this. Was that experience of the Roman Empire? Is it something that you've seen in your media? Did you learn about it in school?
I think we did learn about it in school, but in that kind of vaguely, British, junior school and comprehensive way.
But there was another empire, children, that was not as nice as ours. It's called the Roman Empire. I think no one will be talking about that for many years to come.
They wore these helmets. Some of their coins look like this. Okay, let's move on to Henry VIII, and then we got on with that. So I don't know. I didn't know loads about it, and I think I watched my brother play Age of Empires on the PC and got a bit bored. But I kind of vaguely reckon, oh look, it's the Roman Empire. It's right. You know the aesthetic of the Roman Empire. It's prevalent. You see it. It's a big cultural thing.
That's good to know. It's good to know that it's still there as a touchstone. I should have pointed out as well, of course, my Catholic upbringing with the Roman Empire there. Pretty much like an easy stand-in as the baddies, pretty much Roman Empire. Not particularly portrayed well, generally speaking, as it pertains to the old Catholic upbringing.
No. I tell you what, something else that's kind of iconic, as well as the Roman Empire, the look of the Roman Empire, the look of the Roman soldiers, etc. That hand brushing through a field of wheat. That, I've seen that before, and this is not just some Theresa May, thing going on in my head.
Romping through the fields.
This is like gently brushing against I've seen that. I've seen that. That must
I
have been
feel like that's
parodied.
the opening shot of like a lot of like banking adverts.
Right, yeah,
Where
yeah.
it'll be like, you know, whole grain on the brain and daddy's fish and chips. And it'll have, you know, someone brushing their hand along in black and white.
Who do you bank with?
You know the sort, some
Grain
fucking...
on the brain, daddy's fish. Barclays.
You know, some mid poet they'd have on,
Yeah.
some fucking, you know, mid-tier poet, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
read my poem for fucking the big bank, and now they've done a black and white video where someone brushes their hand on some fields of wheat. And I'm a big boy now, yeah, not proper poetry like Seamus Heaney, I imagine.
No, that's the proper stuff. We did that at GCSE. So, Maximus, he's walking through all of his men now. He's a big commander, a general, the Roman army. Everyone's smiling at him. He's a well-respected guy. And they're all talking about strength and honour.
Yeah, see, it's a proper mantra for a proper empire. Strength and honour. Oh, that's what the Roman Empire was all about. In the core, fucking British Empire, 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. That's what you're on about.
Nice cup of tea and a good sit down. That's what we had. No, strength and honour. At my signal, it doesn't sound like that. At my signal, unleash hell. That's, you know, it's cool. It's cool. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the earliest big pre-battle chats, a chattel, if you will, that we got. You know, this is something that is almost beyond parody at this point. It's done so much. But I couldn't help but watching this movie for the first time in, I'd say it's at least 10 or 15 years since I've seen this, probably. Yeah. And it was amazing how much of this it felt like was in the guts and bones of a lot of, like, not just historical, but like fantasy stuff as well.
Yeah,
like a lot of the look of this, I was shocked that Game of Thrones came to mind an awful lot of time.
A lot in this, yeah.
And I'm not saying, people are lifted. There's obviously just inspirations from historical stuff, yada. But just the actual general sense, particularly this opening battle with the old Germanians in Germania, it was, you know, here that the idea, I guess, was germinating for this type of a look. For your battles, etc.
I was a bit concerned with this battle because it was, you know, opening big epic battle scene, which is not really my speed.
Oh, I know, but it was all physical effects, wasn't it?
It was all very visceral and very well. It was proper. I describe this as blood and mud. You know, it's blood and it's mud.
Or B&M, as we like to call it here.
It's a real B&M bargain, this, because they got in amongst it. They got involved, you know. It was a real classic British battle, blood and mud. It felt very, very brutal.
Blood and mud and fire as well, I would say. In the right combination, you can make some sort of a rudimentary black pudding with those ingredients. And a lot of slow motion, but this is obviously the days before 4K or even 3K, maybe even, because the slow-mo here was very much like that kind of jittery, stuttery slow-mo, which really seemed out of order.
For the listeners at home, for some reason, when Kevin was demonstrating slow-mo, he looked like Ric Flair walking. Who I suppose does kind of exist in slow motion. But there was some like real slow motion, and then there was some of that, you know, the artificial slow motion. You know, not like Windows Movie Maker slow-mo.
What's the difference between real slow motion and artificial slow motion?
I shall tell you.
I'm honestly very intrigued now.
So, if you wanted to do real slow motion, you would film the sequence at the time.
Or just moving very slowly?
No, at a higher frames per second. And then show those frames at normal speed, if that makes sense. So if you shot something at like 60 frames a second, but then showed it at 30 frames a second, you'd get actual slow-mo where you've got enough frames for the slow motion. Whereas if you just showed 30 frames a second at 15 frames a second, it would be slowed down, but it's not going to look natural because it's a different frame rate to the normal frame rate. Thank you.
So this is basically the principal photography equivalent of lacing your lasagna with a cup of lentils if you're low on meat, is what you're saying to me here now.
Yeah.
Pretty much there now. And there's your cooking tip for the episode, by the way.
Yes, and that's not to say that there's not meat in this sequence, because there is meat in the sequence, but there are also a scattering of lentils to bolster it, and that's fine. That's fine.
Good. I'm happy to know that, because I was pondering during the sequence, like, I wouldn't mind dying in slow motion. Like, you know, that wouldn't be a bad way to go. Not necessarily what particular method, but it's not, slow motion. But I thought me trying to ordain what I could and couldn't do when I die is a bit much. So, Sam, I would like you once again to refer to the rolling document vis-a-vis my funeral, where I would propose at least 2 to 3 lengthy slow motion sequences during the funeral.
During the funeral.
Maybe when my coffin's been coming because I'm a big old fucker. You all get a serious workout. You get a serious workout. You do that in slow motion.
Yeah.
You do a deadlift squat with me, and then lower me really slowly, as if to give people a pause. Like, is he gone for good, this lad? You know, what I'm saying is, if my funeral is the end, I want the slow motion to be the question mark at the end of that. Is what I'm saying.
I love that you want to drag out your funeral for as long as possible. Like, that's the moment you want, like, stretch it
As
out.
we've established in previous episodes at this point, it's going to be a 3-act, almost operatic structure with highs and lows of human emotion. So the slow-mo would help everyone kind of, catch their breath a little bit, is what I'm saying.
Hey, so the Roman lads have bloody done it in this battle.
Hey.
They've done it. Hey, good, big victory. Roman victory.
Even the dog was chucking in with the war effort.
And hey, we see a little bit of Joaquin Phoenix. We got Joaquin. I think I knew deep down that he was in this, but I'd kind of forgotten he's in this.
Oh no, Sam! Because of all of our idle chit chat from the email from Mike earlier, we only went and bloody summoned a Joker into the pack. Whoa!
Oh!
Keep an eye on this one, that's all I'm saying. And he even had the pale clown makeup on him and everything, didn't he?
Yeah,
was. Look, all I'm saying is, right, he was the most Jokerish character in this movie. There was no one even a close second.
Well, so Russell Crowe, as a reward for doing so well in this battle, he just wants to be able to go home. That's what he wants.
He's proven his valor, and it's a big deal to do that.
Yeah, whereas Joaquin shows up late to the party, having not done anything in this battle, and wants to ride on that sweet nepotism train and just still be in charge anyway and get the big promotion to his daddy's role as Emperor of Rome.
Yeah, and I felt he hadn't earned any of the cheek kisses that he embellished from Russell Crowe here. I thought that it was, everyone knows, you show up late to the war, you defer your kisses. That's the only real way to do it, honestly.
You don't have to come to the war, but you won't be getting any kisses. That's all I'm going to say.
Easy as, I wanted to see Russell Crowe get his flowers.
Yes.
And Joaquin Phoenix not get his kisses because of what happened in this scene.
Now, I don't want to compare every single time any dads or sons sort of betray each other and make choices over who takes over to Succession. However, Commodus gives me very strong Roman Roy vibes.
Really?
Yeah.
He had a bit of Kendall Roy in my mind.
I said Kendall, and then I kind of I think he's kind of all the Roy siblings in one horrible package.
I'm going with Kendall because he's been played by an actor who broke his foot kicking a bin once in a row, so it felt only appropriate to invoke Mr. Strong in that instance with regards to the acting.
But Jeremy Weakfoot is what I will say.
I said break a leg, not a foot, guys. Come on. Some actors here.
So, Joaquin Commodus, he's my guy, because at the end of the day, he's saying, just leave the politics out of it, mate.
I know, they're literally saying that. They're like, the bloody politicians have ruined politics.
Yeah.
And, I think we had quite enough of the experts here in the Senate in Rome, quite frankly. So, what is he proposing exactly? What does he want instead, other than to give his sister the ride?
I think he just wants to be the emperor. And I think Rome might be a republic at this point, or heading towards being a republic, and he just wants to be an empire with him as the emperor and get rid of these politicians who know nothing and give it to the son of the last bloke. That's what he wants.
And what's sad as well is all this is going on, all these plots and whatnot about the future. As Caesar, he's only blooming packing it in health-wise. He's been dying for a couple of years.
Yes.
And he's also got that miserable look of the late-life tyrant where he's like, we've had 4 years of peace, 20 bloody years of war.
30 years of hurt.
He's getting the bad ending. He's getting his sad victory on civilization's what's happening to him here. And, he's worried about his legacy. He's worried about the future. He asked Maximus, how will the world speak my name? What of salad dressings, Maximus? Because I'm feeling any Caesar who's down in the dumps.
Yeah.
You show him that salad, you show the joy it's bringing. I'm talking literally thousands of people worldwide a day. I'm not saying it's going to solve his midlife crisis, but you give him a bit of a pat in the back.
Well, there was an unaired Doctor Who episode where Doctor Who took Caesar into the future and showed him people eating salads with the Caesar salad dressing, and the camera span around. He was just crying. It was so emotional with the sit. There's one with Van Gogh in it where they show him a gallery.
And then he started crying.
He's crying. Like,
cut my ear off. Go grow up, big baby. Makes me sick. earless freak.
So Maximus and Caesar here having a lovely chatting about Maximus's family, talk about his child and his home, and at that point when he's like said, they're so lovely and sweet, and
he comes to life here. It's like in the finals of like MasterChef where they do a little profile on them. They're like, oh, well, here's all my background and all about my family. We've got a kitchen garden, olives in the north.
He's laying it on so thick with how cute everything is. Like, there's little baby wild ponies running around, and my son plays with them, and he wants to be a pony when and I'm like, okay, mate.
You've overshared there. When
we know they're going to die.
Yeah. I have to say, any office situation you find yourself in, if you're telling your line manager that your child has expressed wishes to become an animal, you've maybe overshared. And doubly so if it was a dream you had.
I love the idea that Caesar is his line manager. That's great. But you know what? It's paid off. Because Caesar is making him his successor, which, immediately, oh shit, that's not going to go well. He doesn't want to do this. He's like, with all my heart, no, I don't want to accept this.
And is he asking him to be actually emperor or just be like kind of a Denethor type figure? Because I think Russell Crowe would be a great Denethor type figure, if I'm honest.
I thought it was to be, big, to take over when the time comes. I thought that's what it was.
To get the big chair.
To get the big chair, to step up into the big chair.
The hot seat.
And the whole point is that he's not corrupted by politics. Everyone wants politics out of it, mate. Everyone wants no more corruption of politics.
He's the George W. Bush, isn't he? He's the guy who you wish you could have a beer with, who, is kind of military-ish adjacent, you know? Yeah. Sick of the bloody politicians. Give me the guy from the family of politicians, please. My dynasties.
Caesar, Commodus's dad, says he is not a moral man. He cannot rule. He must not rule. You are the son I should have had. Which, I mean, that's a line that's kind of unnecessary because it's very heavily implied by the fact he's like, my son's shit. I want you to be in charge. I love you. Hold me. Also, you're the son I should have had.
Caesar's basically saying, look, no one wants the Joker's son. Everyone wants a bat son. Which means I'm going to die and I've accepted that, so I'm making arrangements with you now.
Yes.
But please don't tell my horrible Joker son. And it's upon Caesar then to break the news to old Commodus about what's going down, about how there will be no more politics and you will not be emperor. And because he is the Joker, he has no virtues, you see.
No.
Other than maniacal laughter. And I'm sorry, I got a bit lost. I felt like I became the Joker a little bit in my notes here. Because I wrote down, I'm gonna kill you, Mamma Mia, Commodus Crush, and then Emperor Joker? And it'd be crazy, isn't it, now that he's going to be the Emperor Joker, because he'd probably be like, thumbs up, because I'm laughing. And you wouldn't know if he actually wanted you to live or die or anything like that, even if you know the facts or not,
Now, as much of a laugh riot as this was, because we've got the Joker involved, I did find some of it quite interesting emotionally, because Commodus is, to put it lightly, proper gutted about this. And he does a little speech in response to his dad being like, you're not getting the top job, mate. Which really felt like...
And he just goes... he just cracks him open like a crab claw.
But the stuff he was saying, it really feels like an apprentice candidate trying to talk himself out of being fired by Lord Sugar. It's like, but Dad, I've got ambition. And you can't teach
I'm
that.
a lot like you, Emperor Caesar.
I sold aerials out the back of a van just like you, and I will continue to do it, and I've got ambition. He's crying. He wanted his dad to be proud of him and hug him, so much so that he cries and hugs his father to death.
Oh, no.
Fucking hell. I mean, that's a big emotional statement. You wanted hugs from your father, so you crushed him to death with a hug.
Well, that's why you need to hug your loved ones regular and often, because otherwise, see, the same thing happened in The Sims all the time as well, Sam. They let the hug go for ages and ages, and it's all built up in them like a big massive shite. And then you can't let it out easy. You have to do one of those death hugs,
Yeah.
If anyone you know is like that, just attach them to a firm tree until they get out of their system. You don't have to worry about them, killing a relative or anything like that.
Look, this isn't going to play well now, because the only guy who said, you're the emperor, mate, to Maximus, he's dead now.
He should have gotten that notarized, Sam, shouldn't he? Fucking idiot.
Just while I'm making my decision, can you just pop that down on a little memo and send that round to the lads just so we all know that you said
When
that.
you're talking with an emperor, you should always make sure there's another person in the room and the door is open. You know, it's just good safeguarding practice and principle.
So many things have gone wrong in these sorts of films and TV shows because there was no one around to listen to the chat. You know?
And that's why even if it's only the slightest of promotions or upgrades, all announcements of that sort should be done with a ceremony.
Yes, absolutely.
With pomp and circumstance.
Maximus finds out that his, albeit brief, new dad has been killed, and he's immediately betrayed by his friend and arrested and sent to be executed. Brilliant. At least give me a clean death, a soldier's death. But it's a trick, because he kills the fuck out of his captors, including one who gets his sword frozen into its...
It's too cold for him to be executed, so he kills them all in cold blood.
What's the little thing that you pop a sword into? Because
A sheath.
A sheath.
Sheath.
For some reason, in my notes, I kept wanting to write down tabard, and I know it's not a tabard. But
What's that?
I think that's like a type of smock.
Smock, I see.
No, a scabbard. What's a scabbard? It might be a type of sword. Anyway.
The fucking shite they teach ye in school, I swear to God. Honestly.
We knew a bit about the Roman Empire, but it was mostly tabards and fish and chips.
Why would you need to know that? Like, such useless trinkets disguised as education, like. Ridiculous.
The good thing is, Max has managed to kill his captors, get away.
Yeah, he managed to get out of that tricky situation by severing all their heads. It was something else.
And I do love the cut to Max with proper long hair, because he's been on the run for ages. His hair's grown out. He's like, I've been getting away for a long time.
I'll tell you what, like this kind of just scene and a half here felt like this was the aesthetic that 95% of AAA open world action RPGs are going for most of the time. If there's a sword involved, that is.
Yeah.
You know, the soft falling snow, the kind of the furry get up and all that. Lots of kneeling, mud and grime and blood as well as usual in this. So, I mean, it is easy to say that this is probably, I would have thought when I first saw this movie that would have been like, oh, this would be very influential. But it kind of, I think it's because it was so big, it's just like, this is the accepted way of things, I guess, for lack of a better term.
I think it's become a template.
Yes, that's it.
Shows. You know, it's set the precedent, and a lot of it, particularly as you mentioned, Game of Thrones feels like it's cribbed off this, because I think this was an iconic film, and it's like, this is a great example of how you shoot these types of scenes.
Because I do remember when Game of Thrones first came out, I was one of the sods who watched it like when it first was
you
on
were
the
an
telly.
early adopter. You brought me in.
I brought you in. I got you into Game of Thrones for me sins.
Between season 1 and season 2, you brought me into Game of Thrones. You showed it to me.
Oh, early into the fold. And you were like, here's a comedian called Stuart Lee as thanks. Thank you very much.
What an interesting trade that was.
Under the table.
Oh, Kevin, the little son of Max, running up to all these Roman soldiers, so excited that his dad might be coming home. God, it's
combo breaker. Oh, no.
so sad.
Awful stuff now.
Yeah.
And they fucked up the kitchen garden as well.
Smashed it to pieces. Yeah.
This is like, I've had bad Airbnb experiences, but this takes the cake, like.
Can you imagine leading with the garden got all fucked up, and also my wife and child were
my
crucified.
wife and child. And they put the crockery in the wrong drawers as well.
You know what? Russell Crowe here does some very good, quite gross, like, sobbing acting. You know, sobbing that's so big, like, you get slobber everywhere. You know,
he's overwhelmed with grief.
Yeah.
And also, he's a dirty fucking dog with all that slobber all over him. Jesus, would you ever fucking wash? Look at him there now. Absolute state of him.
Hey, right, fucking template setting. When he kind of passes out from, like, grief and sadness and
just when he accidentally wakes up in the last movie we did for this podcast, where he's in the exact same setting with the exact same actor playing the exact same character, negotiating pretty much the exact same thing. I'll never begrudge you a paycheck, my man, is all I'm saying. You make that fucking money.
There's a little dream sequence beforehand where he's being like, when he passes out and then he is getting transported with, like, I guess, slaves being taken to be sold. Mm-hmm. The little weird cuts and the dream stuff and his, like, head going along. There's something about it.
I thought those were lame as hell. I thought they'd aged so fucking bad. It was, like, so very 2000 about a dream sequence. It reminded me of Vanilla Sky or something.
It felt a bit Sopranos-y when early seasons of
Yeah.
Sopranos did dreamy stuff. I think legitimately, and of course it comes up in Sopranos, they'd probably watch Gladiator and were like, oh, we could maybe do something a bit like this. This might be the way to... And it just gave me a vibe.
Check out the tilt on this camera angle. Whoa!
But you're right, Omid's back. And I heard his voice, and I thought, no, that can't be Omid again.
This came out 1 year later than the last movie we did. I swear to God, he just hopped on a bus from one shoot and went to the next one.
I mean...
Didn't even give him a new script. He just fucking eyeballed it. He'd be grand.
Get that money, Omid, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think he did. I think he absolutely did.
Fucking sure as sugar did.
Is he, like, in every film that's got, like, sand in it? Is he, like, in all of those?
There seems to be there's a certain like snapshot of like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Where if it's a movie above a certain budget that goes to, I think, either a market of some sort.
Yeah.
In some sort of Middle Eastern or desert environment. And there's chat to be had as well, because that's important. He's not just going to show up unless he's there to put a bit of chat on. So I think, he's punched his ticket at least 12 times on that.
And absolutely fair enough. So Oliver Reed is in this. Now,
Yes.
in his final role.
Really? Is this his final role? How about that?
Did you not know that?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, okay. I'm going to point something out to you later on. This is his final role.
What, is it the shot that killed him?
It's... No, it's...
And then the director's there, take the shot. Like.
Well, kind of.
What?
He had a heart attack while making this.
What?
He died during production, and he gets Livia Soprano'd at one point where they CG him in.
Oh my God. Now, honestly, I know naff all about Oliver Reed, other than
I don't really.
he was the lad who my parents would be like, Kevin, come in. What? We're watching All Right on the Night, and they're about to show Oliver Reed with a few too many drinks. You have to see it for the 9th time. And it's and then so I watched a video recently where someone was like, I think he's putting it on a bit in that classic video, like he's pretending to be Belugas and being a bit of a character. And then I saw Joe made me watch fucking Tommy, the Who musical.
Okay.
And he's in that, and it's fucking shit, and he can't sing worth a lick. So I don't give a shit about him.
Well, there we go. That's Oliver Reed.
That's Oliver Reed.
I know very little about him. I just kind of know the name and know his reputation for being a very heavy drinker and know that he died.
Which I feel like that's shit that's all we know. But like we were fed a diet of that culture. Like Oliver Reed's the big fucking the big disgrace. He got drunk on a chat show and jumped around and stomped his feet. But I'm sure he's more to him than that. If anyone's to Oliver Reed into it and we could do a special Ollie swirl, that sounds like a cool skateboard move.
Just sick Ollie swirl down that stair set, dude. Gnarly. Anyway, he's in this, and he's a kind of gladiator trainer /
Former
slave owner.
gladiator slave himself.
Yes.
He was freed by the previous Caesar, and he's got an eye for talent. We started running drills to see who goes in the red team and who goes in the blue team. Yeah. And Maximus, it looks like he'd rather be hanging around with his mates than doing fancy gladiator training with all these guys.
Quick question for you. Is Maximus Spanish at all? Does he just look a bit Spanish to them?
At the start of this movie, I was like, Roman soldiers. So we're talking Italian stock here, but I'm guessing the Roman Empire spread across so far that you could be a Roman soldier, but you could have been from any number of places. Yeah. Russell Crowe, I mean, Jesus Christ, the voice is like old time is basically what his voice is. So, yeah, sure, he's the Spaniard. I figured it was just that he was mistakenly called that by, because they were at a faraway market or whatever, and they're like, oh, the Spaniard over there.
Yeah.
But maybe, who knows?
Yeah, he gets known as Spaniard.
What we could do is we could cross-reference the details of the kitchen garden with the known agricultural output of Spain, and then we could know whether or not that was true. Is there figs in Spain? I think there is. And
once again, for that content, you'll want to check out our respective Tumblr pages where we'll be doing a deep dive into agriculture and
agricultural lore, basically.
He's scratching off his Roman tattoo. They didn't have laser tattoo removal back in those days, mate. You couldn't do it.
You had scratching removal was all.
They didn't have tattoo fixers on E4. You just had what you had. and you just had to sort of cut it off your skin, which is horrible. You know, he's really disavowing Rome and the Romans.
Rome's cancelled as far as he's concerned. Done with it.
But it's fight night / fight day, because it is always daytime. And it's a bit, I thought these were going to be like one-on-one, this bloke versus this bloke.
Oh, but it's very much a Battle Royale Survivor Series, I guess you could be generous and call it, like team-based battles.
It's a big multi-man situation.
And I love that you've got like the big Mantor guy, and you've got all the crazy hats and helmets and stuff like that. So anytime I've seen like glimpses of Colosseum stuff, I'm always like beyond interested, because every time you hear something new, you're like, oh no, that's got to be made up. They would have had, you know, spring-loaded pits with tigers and snakes, and they're like, oh yeah, no, they did. You know?
Yeah.
And it is great to see. And one of the guys from Linkin Park, it looked like, was in the lineup there. There was someone who managed to have spiky hair. You know, Linkin Park, Encore, Do You Want More? Linkin Park, you know the band. Everyone's favourite. Linkin Park.
Our boys, our best bloody boys, they win the big multi-man battle. So we're very proud of our boys.
They made the blood fountains rain that day, Sam. It was almost like... I think the closest thing I can remind of in episodes we've done is probably something like Akira or whatnot, where it was just like very like bloody. Ribbons artistically done of blood.
Yeah. Like very squelchy. You know, the proper blood.
You know what I'd do in a Roman Colosseum situation?
What would you do?
I'd just pretend, because it looks like no one's really actually paying much attention. So I'd either like, you know, go on the ground and pretend to be dead. Yeah. Or I'd find a like-minded individual and be like, let's just go, you know, I've got a fishbone skeleton of what we'll do. We'll go over here into the corner and, you know, no one's going to pay attention, you know? Yeah. Anytime I watch wrestling and there's like more than 6 people in the ring, I'm convinced at least 1 or 2 of them are like, let's just stand over here and no one will notice.
I think so. Yeah. The ones that are not, it's like, you know, when magicians do stuff to throw you off noticing when the actual trick is happening in the sleight of hand. I think wrestlers will do some big move to distract the fact that their mates in the corner are just having a chat and not doing any proper wrestling.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because my other strategy, if I was in the Colosseum, would have been magic. To use the tricks of a magician.
Illusion.
To hex my opponents with mysterious forces.
Yes. Meanwhile, the bloody poshos, Commodus, he's just roaming around.
Hey now.
Being the emperor.
He's been coronated and all.
Yeah.
Will he get his own special dish, or is that just an archaic idea from the wretched British Empire? Or would they like make him like, I don't know, a nice kind of sun-dried tomato bruschetta, for instance?
Like a coronation chicken is what you're saying.
Like a coronation chicken.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, why haven't chicken and raisins been in a bowl before?
Ugh. Do you like coronation chicken?
I will pick out all the raisins and I'd happily eat coronation chicken.
Yeah.
But I just texturally find that anytime anyone has a recipe with raisins, they usually don't mean a fistful of owl raisins you've got knocking around in your shelf for making fruitcake once a year.
Do you like raisins?
I love raisins, but I'm saying that often if I'm ordering food or getting something like pre-made, I won't go with raisins, because I find raisin quality is all over the shop these days.
Sure.
Right? I'm blaming it on Brexit. You know, that's the fucking reason, right? And I want my raisins back to the quality that they were back in the time of coronation chicken.
You know what, mate? Brexit means Brexit, and I'm happy with the bendy raisins that we've got now.
But does raisins mean brazens? When I'm brazen with raisins, do I need to be putting up with this?
Amazing. So Commodus, something about him spinning his little sword around on the floor and not really listening is great. It's such a spiteful little foppish little
it's like being on
boy.
your phone, isn't it? Like, you know, you can always look. Them kids just on their swords these days is all it is. Like, you know,
in present day, Commodus would be taking a lot of selfies. You know? Yeah. He's proper like Tyler Breeze's gimmick. That's a wrestling reference, but you know, he's taking selfies, loving himself, not really paying attention to anyone else. His sister is trying to explain to him that his idea of getting rid of the Senate, etc., is not great.
I should point out as well, in this watching of the movie, I wrongly was convinced that the two of them, because of the looks he was given earlier, that the two of them were already having the ride, and that the child was a product of incest and evil. So I pretty much had my arms folded every time she was on screen going, why are you trying to be virtuous, fucking your brother, you big weirdo? Right. And I would like to say now that was an error that I made and a mischaracterization of the judgment of that character. She did not fuck her brother and give birth to an incest ride child, and that was wrong of me to assume, because I just think that ye olden times, a lot of that went on, didn't it, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely what he wants. And later on, he does just literally say, all of that.
All that and then some.
And, again, it's before internet pornography where he might have been able to get out some of this.
The thing is, right, he's very much there. What it was is the way he was acting made me think that it had already happened. But what he was doing was he was manifesting it.
Yes.
So he was like having a positive
visualization.
mindset of trying to make it so that he can have, if I could only have that sex with my sister, that was what was on his mind. I'll tell you, he's given the Senate awful grief in the chamber.
He really is, and they're not happy about it. But I will say this about him. He's got some weird ideas, sure. But, if you'd have told me back in school that we were having 150 days of games,
Whoa!
I'd have thought, what a great school year, That's how I wish it had gone.
Sorry, how many days of games?
150 days of games.
Good Lord, that's like the entirety of the existence of the Wii Shop channel updates. That's like so many days of games.
So many days of games. And the season of Luigi will be part of those days of games.
That's when it first started in ancient Rome, actually, the year of Luigi, back 1000 BC or thereabouts.
And you'd watch the state of play to find out about the days of games and the season of Luigi.
And yeah, that's when they originally announced Grand Theft Auto 6 as well, actually, Sam.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
So, 150 days of games. Derek Jacobi, part of the Senate, he's like, you know what? It's not a bad idea. The beating heart of Rome is not the marble of the Senate. It's the sand of the Colosseum. These games might unite the Roman people.
There's a plague going on as well, by the way.
Yeah, but, look, right. I don't know what I was going to say. Something about how, look, we all get united around Strictly Come Dancing, even when there's bad stuff happening in the world. Sometimes the people.
I missed my chance to get right on Strictly Come Dancing when bad stuff was happening in the world. Oh no, more bad stuff was going to happen. That's okay. That's all right. I've got still time.
Sometimes we need a few days of games to distract us from the things in our lives,
130 though. I mean, I'd hate to be on the 129th day of games. You know what I'm saying? It'd be a bit of a tall task to vary that up. Anyone who's been in the Butlins camps will know that the entertainment, once it gets on the loop, and there ain't a 130-day loop. I've seen this Michael Jackson impersonator before. And it was before that documentary came out. You should get him off right now. The Spaniard is using this time to gain notoriety through blood and iron.
Yes, he's very good at what he does.
Oh, and he removes the pig man's hat at one point. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it was great. Oh, it was really good.
And he does his little line, doesn't he? He does his little thing to the people in the Colosseum.
Sure, you not entertained?
Yeah. They're not in the Colosseum yet. They're in, He does his little line in, well, these are like little offshoot Colosseums, aren't they? They're not Colosseums. They're just not the Colosseum.
Colosseum house shows, I think, Sam, is what they are.
Yeah. Are they arenas?
Arenas, yeah.
They could be arenas. They're not the Colosseum. Proximo, who's the Oliver Reed slave gladiator trainer guy.
He's the Mickey of the movie is what we're saying.
He really is. He's talking to Maximus about how big those fights are in Rome, which, the previous guy shut down, but now Commodus is opening up again. That's where we want to be. We want to be in Rome. And it's revealed that he was a gladiator himself and he won his freedom.
So he's shown him the route, his road to WrestleMania, basically, which is to meet the Emperor in Rome, at WrestleMania, however many Roman characters you feel is appropriate for actual ancient Rome. You can have all sorts, X's and V's and I's and all that. He's getting up there and he is going to have what Proximo says, bloody adventures together.
No, he lets him in on some advice here because he's a grizzled veteran, right? And he takes him to one side. And for Maximus, this is a big deal to learn this. But for me, someone who's been on the stand-up circuit, I know that win the crowd and you'll win your freedom. I already knew that, mate. Do a bit of crowd work at the start.
They wouldn't let him out with the frog and bucket until he made them laugh. He called me and I said, they won't let me in. They won't let me in, Sam. My name's on they won't let me in.
Oh, what a horrible sort of Twilight Zone Black Mirror situation where you're in a comedy club and you can't get out until you make everyone laugh.
Yeah, it's like a gong show, but every time you get gonged, you have to stay there for another eternity.
Oh, God. So it's Colosseum time now.
Oh, baby.
It's actual Colosseum time. And you know what? The CGI in this...
I think we're going to see the CGI on the guy's eyebrows. The guy looked like an owl.
Yeah, the funniest eyebrows I've ever seen. Quite funny. Some of the
Quite
funniest
funny.
eyebrows I've seen.
In this movie, easily the funniest eyebrows.
Yes, funniest eyebrows in this movie. The CGI in this is not terrible, but not excellent, but it was 2000. So
yeah, it's kind of, it's hard to begrudge it. Like, you could probably count on your hand. There's a real bad one right at the end. But you could probably otherwise count on your hand the number of times where it's like, ooh, yeah, that doesn't look quite as good. And like, they have a great sense of scale for the most part, but Rome does really feel like an early Assassin's Creed game at points when you see some of these bigger shots.
I think the issue is all of the actual on-location stuff they do looks so good and so beautiful. Yeah,
by comparison.
The contrast is a bit weird.
And if he was a real director, he'd sort out with a 20th anniversary edition Blu-ray and then sort out again later on and then sell it to Disney so we could get the Gladiator prequels, the Kitchen Garden years. But we've done that yet because some people don't know how to do business.
No. And it was Ridley Scott.
You were correct.
I knew that. Yeah, that snuck in somewhere into my brain. Commodus, he just wants his sister to kiss him and stay with him. He's a fucking weirdo. That's what he's up to. But... So, little Lucius...
Who, again, I viewed with undue suspicion throughout this movie. He is in... like, writing down things like, that incest boy meets with the Spaniard, and he's got a thing or two on his mind. You know, again, I grabbed the wrong end of the stick here. All due apologies to Lucius.
Well, he might be Maximus's son, perhaps.
Perchance.
Yeah. But he's Commodus's nephew, and he's saying, oh, hello, Spaniard. You're very good at the battles, aren't you? I'm going to cheer for you. You're so strong and you kill people. I like you. Hooray! Hooray!
I'm British.
Oh, hello. Oh, do us a battle, mate.
You are. Crowds right now are sophisticated in Rome, and they're really into historical recreations, actually. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So we have the barbarian horde, as played by Maximus and the gang.
And his mates, yeah.
Against, honestly, a bit of a weighted advantage the other team, the whole team has here now, you know?
Yeah. But you know what? Teamwork makes the dream work, and that is...
And tactics make the work clicks.
Yes.
And that's what happened here. They used both of those things, and they turn that tide, they ride that horse, they spill that blood.
There's people getting cut in half. There's horses and carts crashing everywhere.
Sam, it's a great result for the barbarians. You got to hand it to them.
Yeah, it's a great result for them. Bish, bash, bosh. They fucking did it. It's not historically accurate, but it's entertaining, you know?
Hey.
This was the Inglorious Bastards of its day.
A slave, remove your helmet. I father dead child. No, that's not what he says. He says that his name is Maximus.
Yeah.
And, you know, things have been going very good from the last couple of years. And I'm a lot like you, Emperor Claudius. My loved ones have been murdered as well, yeah?
Yeah. He shall have his vengeance in this life or the next.
Oh! All right, that actually, honestly, for me, that'd take a bit of the sting out of the tail of the threat. Of the next life, right? Yeah, good.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Oh, and what I do then afterwards, when I'm kind of, like, maybe he's got a bit old and shit, like, I'm like, he ain't getting me in this life, lads. Well, I'd still be like, you know, so as to not give him the sense of urgency, I'd be like, scared, oh no.
The
next life, guys, what's going to happen? And he'll be here all old, like, and then he'd die.
And of course, it's that kind of carry-on, being like, I will have revenge on you, mate, that's going to get you killed. But...
Oh, the power of the masses!
As we remember from the gong shows...
The roar of the crowds!
If you've got the crowd on your side, the promoter cannot refuse to let you win 30 quid.
Exactly, even if you've blocked them on Facebook.
We're not naming names, but we do know who we're talking about.
And you love as well, he doesn't murder him out of embarrassment.
Yeah.
He's like, if I do it, they'll be all weird about it.
So he does the thumbs up, which actually, it would in real life, it would have been the thumbs down. But he does the thumbs up to say, yeah, you can live, mate. Crowd cheers, emotional music. Credits roll. What a film. No, that's, an interesting play there that the crowd has swayed Commodus's decision here.
The sister is having a chat with Maximus then, basically.
Yes.
Explaining the old situation there.
Yeah. But he wants none of it, because, I think they used to go out, didn't they? Those two, for a bit, possibly. I think. That's the impression I get.
There's a history there, yeah.
I think there's a history there. He's like, forget you ever knew me and never come back here again. So that's pretty clear. He didn't want anything to do with her.
She tells him, though, that, he has this edge. He has the power of the people. And, that's the one thing the Joker can't control. And that will incense him, Yeah. So it's pretty much gotta grab the bull by the horns there. Well, I had to say a little shout out here to my favorite character in the movie, which is the Gladiator coming out of retirement for the big battle here against Maximus. The Tigress of Gaul is in the house, and he's very big and scarred, and he's got quite a few tigers in tow.
He's got tigers. He's bringing tigers to tea. What's he doing?
That's got to be considered an unfair advantage of some sort, right?
That's not odd, mate. You don't bring tigers to a Colosseum battle. But look, Commodus has been like, right, we got to get this guy killed somehow. Let's get some tigers in here. I'm surprised he's not got a fucking anvil hanging down over the thing. It's part of his Acme schemes of how to kill Maximus here. What's he called, his opponent?
The Tigress of Gaul.
He gets a proper stab through the foot, doesn't he?
Right, yeah. He gets stabbed in the foot, which makes him spew blood out of his mouth. What's going on here?
It's all connected, mate. It's all connected.
Tube of blood. Is that all he is? Like a toothpaste.
Heard of foot and mouth? Think about it, mate. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Maximus here, it's as they say, when you're hot, you can't do anything wrong, because the crowd are like, kill him. And he's like, oh, we'll not kill him. And they're like, yay, merciful Max, that's what we want. We're idiots. We'll like whatever you do.
He's got them on side, so they're supporting him.
Firmly on side. He sees his old page boy, the guy who was kind of his, whatever the Roman equivalent of a squire is.
Yes.
His sword fellow. And he's like, tell the men the general is back. So he's plotting, he's going to grab the bull by the horns as anticipated. He's plotting to do a coup. A coup.
He's doing a coup. And at the end of that battle, right, bloody Commodus comes out and Maximus is like, I've only... dude. I have only one more life to take. And Commodus is like, go on then, mate, take it now. But Maximus he's the bigger man because he knows he'll get killed if he tries to kill Commodus here. He turns around, walks away, and Commodus is like, your son cried when I killed him. Your son was, How
would he know that?
No.
Who'd tell him that? What report are you getting, you freak?
Heard down the grapevine that your family suffered and were in pain when we made them suffer and put them through a lot of pain. So,
And it's gotten to him as well because it makes him go back into his locker room and play with his little Kinder Egg toys of his wife and child. And he's like, oh, this is like them being alive. It's not though, is it? Like, it's a bit of shit. Like,
it's an interesting thing because it's more sad when you think about the amount of Kinder Eggs he had to eat to get the ones that look like his wife and child.
The ones he wanted, exactly.
So Joaquin, I mean, he is so good at being a stroppy little child who can't get his way.
He's upset that they love him and he is in a horrible nightmare scenario because he can't kill him, because even though the Senate guy is like, you gotta kill him, he's like, if I kill him, he'll be a martyr.
Everyone loves him. What can I do? And his little senator mate is like, be like a sea snake. Let him take little bites of you while you're still, and you'll be fine. So it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor.
That's a fucking rubbish idea, though, because spoiler, he does get killed by him, and I'm sure there's a few sea snakes who've fallen foul in the same way. Like, hence why they've not got a coliseum of their own.
Being bitten to death by other stuff. Like, are you sure I'm meant to keep staying? How long do I stay still? Oh, poor sea snakes. His old mate tells him, your armies are still loyal. They're still loyal to you. And so that mate then approaches Lucilla, who is Commodus' sister, and they get Derek Jacobi involved, and they're all hanging out, and a coup is afoot.
A coup is afoot. But Maximus wants Oliver Reed's blessing before he can go on with any coup. And also because it'd be very handy to have a man who's got a lot of keys on his keychain to be able to have him in the old back pocket. And he basically tells him the truth about Commodus killing the man who freed him. So he's like, okay then, I see, but nothing is committed to at this exact moment.
I tell you who's is committed to the idea of shagging his sister, and that is Commodus, because there's so many scenes in this that are just, he wants to have a go on his sister, he's being real
really
creepy.
does.
It's real horrible. And you know what? It's Game of Thrones, isn't it?
It is very much is, but I'll tell you what, there's nothing more, like, if you thought that a man pursuing the thought of incest is disturbing, this guy's got a fucking 5-year plan. Like, he's literally got it, like, bullet pointed, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then this, and this, and this. Awful stuff now.
Disgusting little man. And little Lucius, the little boy, he's playing with wooden swords with Commodus, and he's like, I'm Maximus, saviour of Rome, because he wants to be his hero. It's like you said, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know? But when you were a child, who was your favourite wrestler when you were a kid?
Oh, I was a kid, it was Mankind would have been my favourite, yeah.
I'm Mick Foley, have a nice day. Oh, Socko, right? If you'd have done that.
But my dad was Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, and Mick Foley was wanting to take over as commissioner.
I love how this has just become our wrestling episode, even more so than our The Wrestler episode. I love it. It's great.
You know, something about these old-fashioned battles in front of crowds. I'm not saying that...
It's the oldest human entertainment, Sam. It's wrestling, and it's Coliseum adjacent.
I'm not saying that these gladiators and their fights were a work, all right? I'm just saying it's possible that they were.
I'm just saying they made me suspend my disbelief, didn't they? The gladiators when they were chopping each other's heads off and all that.
He's playing with his little wooden swords, and he's being like, I want to be like Maximus. And Lucius basically lets Commodus in on this whole plan that he's sort of... He gives the fucking game away, this little kid.
Oh, he's the sister's in deep doo-doo now. And the coup is starting at the same time. The gates are open. Proximo's let him in.
Well, right, Kevin. So the bit where Proximo...
I thought he was a bit nonchalant here.
And he's kind of lit weirdly. It's because he's been fully Livia Soprano'd and he's not actually there.
Now, I don't like that talk.
Here's the key. And it's all... There's a lot of, like, long shots of him in silhouette walking along with his keys, going to the thing. And, you know, there's only a couple of shots of his face that apparently were extremely expensive to recreate him very briefly, just to say a couple of
I'll give it this much, Sam. It looks better than Livia Soprano.
I think
it's got that much going for it, yeah.
Of all the things that Soprano should have not taken inspiration from, this is one of them.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, I don't want to go on a Sopranos tangent for too long, but in my most recent rewatching of The Sopranos, I don't think that scene with Livia had any benefit.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it all could have happened off camera. What I think it is that someone said that they could do this bang-up job, and I think they wanted to see it and be like, I'm sure there's plenty of instances where there's actors who are no longer available or died or whatever it was they would have liked to use. So maybe let's see if we can do it. We'd be pioneers on HBO, and you fucking made it awful.
We fucking paid for it now. We got to put it in.
Fucking Football Manager create a character, Livia Soprano, her face all floating up to one side with Graham Linehan. It's fucking shit.
So all of Maximus's mates, they're on board with the big coup here, the big get out, the Great Escape.
It was a rowdy bunch of guys coming in, getting some swords, armors left from very good. Meanwhile, Commodus has got some new rules, which is the boy is now his.
Yes.
And if the sister does anything, the boy will be killed, including if she kills herself, he'll kill the boy as well. So he's quickly shifted from incest being his number one manifest dream to killing his sister.
Well, he's threatening her into loving him, and I think he says that he's going to have a child with her. I mean, what a horrible little rotter that man is.
And this is where we got that awful scene as well. He turns around on the backdrop of Rome, and it looks fucking awful.
Looks shit, doesn't it? It looks really green screen ropey because everything else looks so great. We have to have Rome behind him. Fine. Look, Max's mate is killed. Max is captured just outside the walls.
He's been maxtured.
And
this bit here where they gimmick him, so it's a nice soft rope-a-dope for the Emperor. Where they, come here, you...
Yeah.
Now patch him up and bring him out. So we get to watch the spectacle of a stabbed man fight for his life.
So Commodus, he's facing off in the Colosseum with Maximus.
This is another little behind-the-scenes wrestling thing for you folks. A lot of wrestlers, and Commodus has went for it here. If they know they're going to be getting colour, brackets blood in a match, they might wear an all-white outfit or a T-shirt, and Commodus is head to toe in white. So he knows he's going to be spilling a bit of juice tonight.
I mean, look, I watched AEW Revolution the other day. I'm just going to talk about wrestling throughout this whole fucking episode.
The man who bled the most had white trousers, didn't he?
White shorts on.
He did.
Yeah. I never put two and two together with that before. I actually thought, oh, that's a shame, because he's worn his nice white shorts. Commodus, despite his advantage that he's given himself by stabbing Maximus in the lung,
and he has like fancy sword play, but he is still just
losing
quite easily.
Yeah, but
he's
a sea snake.
He is. He's a sea snake, but it turns out that even though he's a sea snake, he's more like kind of a snake that has fallen into the sea, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Because he just gets the shit knocked out of him by the elements here. And the punching sound effects when Maximus starts boffing him. Yeah. I'll tell you now, Sam, they were sub-Rocky. It was so funny. It was like honestly, I was expecting to be like Zonk, because he was so dush, badink, bonk, he was laying in those big right hands there. Maximus was on Commodus, and it was fucking ridiculous.
It all gets it's a knockout at the end here, and it's very big. But him being stabbed in the throat at the end here, old Commodus.
Oh, stop stabbing yourself, Commodus. You're making a show of me now.
The complete silence, other than those gross throat noises. So we're talking about sounds and noise. I thought that when you that really
got you going, huh?
threw me off there. Bringing that into focus, it was quite a good unnerving thing for me at the end there. You know, I've been stabbed in the throat. Horrible.
It was a wet death, Sam, is the best way you could describe it.
Proper wet death.
Proper wet
real
death.
Wet death.
And not long after the wet death of the Emperor, Maximus, a hero who has already been stabbed in the lungs, he dies a happy chappy, and he's allowed to go to what he assumes is heaven. And I hope to God that if it is the case that there's an afterlife, he does go to heaven, because it'd be a bit shit if he was eternally damned after all he'd been through there now.
It really would. And because he's a legend and a nice bloke, they lift him and take him out of the Colosseum. Whereas old Commodus, old Joaquin, leave him on the fucking floor, mate. Leave him on the floor.
And it's good as well that Maximus died when he did, because we didn't get to live to see what a honking shite ruler he would have been. Fucking moron.
Yeah. In the history books, it'll just be 150 days of games, died.
And the Senate are like, there's a plague, Your Excellency. What do we do? My boy pretends that he's a horse. You numbskull!
And there we go. His little mate character at the end buries the figurines, and
they kind of imply that all the slaves have been freed as well.
I think so, yeah, because Proximo's gone, so
accurate, I'm sure.
And there we go, setting us up for Gladiator 2, Keep On Gladiating, which apparently is in development.
Are you shitting me?
Nope, Ridley Scott has said he is working on that, and that's going to be coming. So there's going to be Gladiator 2.
What he's in Elysium, this is, this was in this life, and the sequel is and in the next. Well, he's going to be in Deadtown.
There was a proposed sequel back in the day involving resurrection of Maximus.
You killed Jesus! You're not allowed to just start resurrecting Romans! That's fucking no.
But there is now.
Right, no. That is activated my fucking Catholicism. You're not resurrecting Roman emperors.
But
sorry,
now...
but we have to go watch more Star Wars sequels to find out that resurrecting an emperor is a bad idea ethically and morally.
Right. There is now, Kevin, a sequel in development. I reckon it's going to be big boy grown-up Lucius, who'll be about 28 now. You know?
Who'd play him now, huh? Who'd play him?
Well, he'll grow up to be a big, strong boy. I was reading the Wikipedia page after I'd watched this, and I think bloody Hemsworth, one of the Hemsworths...
Oh, they'll swoop
wants to swoop in.
Ridley wants that beef.
He wants that beef. He wants that big, beefy boy to come in. Anyway, there's going to be a sequel to this, but hey, that's the end of Gladiator.
And you had a good time.
I had a great time. Yeah.
You had a great time. You
had a great time.
It seems like... there's obviously this big scale and epic battles peppered throughout this, but it isn't a non-stop epic war movie. It is punctuated by all of these, honestly, fantastic scenes with amazing actors. Like, I think Joaquin is probably easily steals the show in this, for my money. Anyway, I think he's absolutely fantastic in it. Was there anything that kind of took away from it for you? Like, I know we mentioned some of the ropey effects and all that. You didn't seem to be necessarily in love with Russell Crowe or his performance or anything like that.
I thought he was great in this.
He has the look, hasn't he? He's got the cut of what you reckon a gladiator should look like.
You know what? He plays it to a T, is what I would say. It's not... I was going to say it's not remarkable, but I don't mean that. It is really good, but it's like he's well suited to the role and he does it really well. You know? He does exactly what he needs to do in this and he pulls it off and it's great. Whereas like Joaquin, you're like, oh, he's a real, snivelling little jerk and we hate him and he's very good at playing that. He's kind of the one to keep an eye on, whereas Russell Crowe is like, oh, he's doing really good acting here, putting in a really good shift. All the like bit part players, I mean, Oliver Reed was great.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone in this did a great job. It looked amazing. With some minor exceptions, it sounded really good.
The score on this is beautiful. It's good shit. Like, really good. That theme will get under your skin, I guarantee you, in the next couple of days.
And the runtime didn't drag for me. It was a kind of a non-factor.
This is like the ultimate runtime was flagged as a concern and then was absolutely not a concern.
It's fine, yeah.
And while we're talking about wrestling so much, I stayed up late last night to watch the wrestling show before we recorded. So I was fucking knackered when I watched this movie and I thought I wouldn't make it through in one. And absolute breeze.
Yeah.
It's such a watchable movie. But I think I would stop short of saying that I love it, I think that, like, I kind of look at it, I'm like, it's a really good movie. Like, I appreciate a good high street chain restaurant, but I'm not going to rush out to go and eat there anytime soon or necessarily say to my friends, oh, you got to go and eat, fucking, you got to go eat at Pizza Express, man,
It's a really good chain restaurant.
Oh yeah. You're gonna get what you're gonna get. Like
it's not like national chain. It's like a small regional chain.
Oh, okay.
It was a little independent restaurant that has done really well and managed to spin off a few in the East Midlands. There's a few dotted around, but it is now a chain. No, I'm not sure what this metaphor means, but it
means that Kevin and Sam need to go to a fucking Little Chef soon and get their champion breakfast on.
It was tasty. I feel nourished by this film. You're right. I don't think this is going to be my favourite film or anything like that. But you can see the quality. You can understand why it was Best Picture. You get, like, that makes total sense.
Does it scratch any sort of a historical interest itch for you? Because as a man who literally yesterday was given a big book about Greek and Norse myths by Joe the intern, which we're very excited. We started reading through it because we've been playing Hades recently and we played God of War recently, and there's a lot of like kind of Eolden mythology stuff in our head. And I know mythology is very different from history and all that, but I was a little bit surprised that this didn't make my history fucking senses go off, because I do love a bit of history. I'm not sure if it appeals to you. Part of me was just thinking, don't bother taking this as a historical thing because it's all bollocks, isn't it? The Joker was never an emperor.
Well, as a British man, I tend to just ignore history and try not to think about
it. Keep your head down.
So this was quite a nice little glimpse into, a fun little blockbuster glimpse into history that I can have a look at and then put away. You know what? I can't say much more than I had a really good time with this and I really enjoyed it and I thought it was great.
You're giving it an Oscar then, Sam, is what you're telling me.
It seems deserving, doesn't it? It seems deserving of it. I don't know what it was up against, but it feels deserving, Yeah. That's a fucking Oscar winner.
It's an Oscar movie, isn't it? Yeah. Particularly a 2000 Oscar winner. Yes. It really feels like that. Well, tell me then, Sam, with that all being said, and with the Academy standing by, how many star wipes are you going to give Gladiator?
You know what? I wish this was a review show where we did like thumbs up or thumbs down, because it would be very funny to do a sort of thumbs up at the end.
It would almost be fitting, Sam.
It would be very fitting. I don't think it would be fair to give this anything less than, but I probably won't give it any more than, 4 star wipes.
You heard it here firstius.
Oh, thanks for listening to another episode of Cinema Swirl. This episode was produced by Kevin, edited by me, Sam, and I also did the music. If you want to support the show, then patreon.com/Cinema Swirl is the way to go. If you want to follow us on the socials, we're at CinemaSwirl on Twitter and facebook.com/CinemaSwirl on Facebook, which is where our votes for episodes take place. If you've got questions, queries, comments, or anything else for the mailbag, then send it on over to cinemaswirl@gmail.com. That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. Please do keep recommending the show to your friends if you think they'll like it, or even if you don't think they'll like it, just recommend it anyway. Oh, and if there are any bits in recent episodes that you think would make particularly nice video clips, you know, the kind of thing we've had on our socials recently, then send us a tweet and let us know. Alright, we'll see you next time. Cheers, bye!